Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. Mercer County was home to a Native American tribe until 1783, when a European family's attempt to settle the land sparked a violent turf war. The patriarch of the family was a farmer named Mitchell Clay. While he was out hunting, a band of Native Americans reportedly killed his youngest son. His daughter was also knifed to death in the struggle. His eldest son was kidnapped and burned at the stake. The father enlisted the help of other white settlers to seek vengeance for his family. After burying his children, he murdered several of the Native Americans. Centuries later, in the 1920s, a businessman named Conley T. Snidow purchased the site of the Clay Farm and developed it into an amusement park. He built a swing set, a Ferris wheel, and opened up the pond for swimming. But death still hung over that cursed parcel of land. The first death occurred after a girl climbed into the circle swinging set. She was killed after a truck backed into the path of the swing. Shortly after this incident, a little boy also drowned in the amusement park swimming pond. About 6 deaths were reported at the park. After the death of the 2 children, it finally closed in 1966, leaving behind a cursed legacy. The rusted Ferris wheel and the children's swing still stand dead amongst the trees. In addition, it was eventually discovered that this was the site of a large Native American settlement. As many as 3,000 Native Americans are thought to have been buried under the park. Surprisingly, the park is still open today and does haunted tours during Halloween. The new owner of the property says sometimes the seat will start to move underneath your hand until you feel cold air blowing through the seat. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, better known as Weston State Hospital, that first admitted a patient in 1864. It was originally designed to hold up to 250 people. However, by the 1950s, there were over 2,400 patients. It was originally scheduled to open in 1861, but due to the Civil War, construction was interrupted. Around this time in the 1950s, the hospital found itself also in a new project, the West Virginia Lobotomy Project. It was an effort by West Virginia to use lobotomy to reduce the number of patients due to the overcrowding. By the 1980s, the hospital had a reduced population due to changes in the treatment of mental illness. Patients who could not be controlled were often locked in cages. Because of the number of patients they've had over the century, a lot of people have reported strange hauntings. While it was no longer operational as of 1994, the hospital still exists to this day. The main building of the asylum holds several rooms that serve as a museum on the first floor. The tour guides dress in clothes that resemble 19th century nurse outfits. They also allow visitors to see the first floor, while the longer historical tour allows visitors to see all 4 floors. There are 2 paranormal tours of the hospital too. Both start as the sun sets. There's also urban legend of a girl named Lily in one of the rooms. Lily had died in one of the rooms, and the ghost has been reported as trying to play with her guests. Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. The tiny town of Harper's Ferry draws thousands of tourists each year. Harper's Ferry is best known as the place where John Brown, an abolitionist, made an attempt to free slaves. While it remains a rural town today, many people say that the whole town is haunted. People have seen things. You can probably ask anyone in town who's been living here, and they've seen something. They can't deny it. Many people hear ghosts all the time. They even hear kids' voices and footsteps. One of the more popular things to do is ghost tours. Each year, thousands of visitors are taken along the streets to see if they can also see the spirits. One of the many spots considered haunted is the Iron Horse Restaurant. There are tales of rattling doorknobs and the sound of someone falling downstairs. Mothman. On November 12, 1966, 5 men who were digging a grave at the cemetery near Clendenin, Virginia, claimed to see a man-like figure fly low from the trees. A few months later, 2 young couples told police that they saw a large gray creature with glowed red eyes. They described it as a large flying man with 10-foot wings. They had said that the man followed their car while they were driving in an area called the TNT area. A contractor also said that he aimed a flashlight at the creature and the eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. Mothman was never found, and to this day, no one knows if it's real or fake. A few theories think it's just an urban legend to scare kids. Other people think it could have been construction workers who tied flashlights to helium balloons. There have also been sightings of planes and albino owls that might come close to what people might have seen. The town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, held its first festival in 2002 to celebrate the Mothman. There's also a sci-fi movie called Mothman based on the urban legend that was made in 2010. In the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the locals say, keep your eye on the sky, because you might see the Mothman. The Weeping Woman of West Virginia. Parkersburg, West Virginia is home to the Weeping Woman, a graveyard statue that is the focal point of dozens of local legends. A number of unexplained powers are associated with this statue. Some say that at night during a full moon, the statue stands up and walks through the graveyard. Others claim to have seen her move and have taken a photo of her hands in different positions. The Weeping Woman is also said to be a good judge of character. If a person is up to no good, she can be a mischievous presence. She's been known to tear people's clothes, trip them, pull on their hair, and unbutton their shirts and pants. One of the stories about the statue says that any woman who touches the woman will become pregnant within a year. Whether these are urban myths or truth, the statue still remains. The Ghost of Droop Mountain. The Battle of Droop Mountain was a Civil War battle occurring on November 6, 1863. Advancing towards a raid into Virginia, the Union Army came upon a Confederate brigade. The Confederate troops marched a grueling 27 miles along Route 219 in an attempt to stop the Union Army. They came head-to-head on November 6 in one of the largest engagements in West Virginia. The smaller Confederate Army was able to hold the high ground and block the highway so the Union could not advance. However, in the afternoon, the Confederates were overrun. At least 78 men died, 45 Union soldiers, and 33 Confederate soldiers. Many say the battlefield is still haunted to this day. In fact, a retired logger who was returning from work in 1920 attested to a ghostly presence. He stopped within what is now Droop Mountain State Park to camp for the night. He had just prepared a fire near a small cemetery, which contains the graves of Confederate soldiers killed in action. The man looked up in surprise, coming face to face with a headless Confederate soldier floating past. Over the years, others have reported ghostly reminders of the battlefield, including screams, sounds of battle, and spirits of soldiers. Many people visit Droop Mountain each year in the hope that they can encounter one of the ghosts. Thank you everyone for listening. It's been a long time since I updated. You probably wondered what happened. I have a crazy story of something that happened in my own life that I'd like to share. In the meantime, make sure you lock your doors at night, or else you may be dead by midnight.